Ready to, is this it? Nope. What's up, guys? Oh, hold on a minute.
That is
What's going on? What's so funny?
Rocco, I think they're laughing at you, man.
I think they are.
That's it, bro.
Unreal. Something wrong? Is there something wrong?
Much better, Alex.
Oh, that's so much better.
So much better.
You didn't fail that section.
Oh, they're fun, aren't they? Okay. All right. Oh, that's horrible. All right, so this is where we finished up yesterday. On Tuesday, thinking about how these 4 trips that Columbus is going to make, each time moving further and further west, and creating this new creating this new world that lots of other people are going to begin racing towards to see what good stuff is here that they can suck out and send back to Europe. So obviously, the main groups of people are afraid that other people are going to come and claim this newly discovered territory. So 2 things that are important about this is, 1, they don't want to have any kind of conflict that turns into war. So that's always a positive, right? That we don't want to create, and part of that is because they didn't want to destroy anything that could be valuable. And the second part that is very important historically is these 2 nations need someone to settle a dispute. And in choosing whom they go to settle the dispute says a lot about the conditions of the world at that point in time, because they go to the Pope. That's the choice of Spain and Portugal to end or settle a conflict. They go to the Pope and ask, hey, there's this great giant mass of a continent there. We both have gotten there. We both have seen what's there. We don't want to fight over it. We also don't want anyone else to come in because we found it. Can you figure out a way to settle this so that everyone agrees and it's fair and we don't fight? And the Pope says, sure, I'll write a little treaty called the Treaty of Tordesillas. What's significant and important to understand is that there are people there, right? All these places that Columbus has stopped, the other places that we're going to visit and see, there are people that already live there. And none of them are asked, hey, what would you guys like? Do you want to be part of this treaty and where we decide and divide up your country? And that will, again, be a really important part of this age of discovery. Because when we think about teaching topics like the age of discovery, we always teach it from the point of view of those doing the discovering, very rarely from the point of view of those being discovered, right? It's kind of hard to be discovered when you've been there for thousands of years. But what happens is the Pope is going to draw a line. And it is a line of demarcation that will divide South America so that Portugal gets to the east of that, which is that big, giant country of Brazil, which is why they speak Portuguese instead of Spanish. And Spain gets everything else. So really, Spain got the better end of the deal. They had to work a little bit further to get inland, but they'll get the best end of the deal and will remain, that treaty remains how South America will be divided up between those 2 nations. Other nations then realized, hey, there is something new over there. And everyone will start this exploration to join the Americas. Venetian John Cabot, who is Italian, and his name is not John Cabot, but when you explore for England, you have to have a name that sounds like you're from England. And so he explores New England for England. Florentine Amerigo Vespucci went on several voyages. He never actually touches the continent of America, but because he maps it and he hands over his maps to a German cartographer who has to draw this map. And one of the things that when you draw maps, it is important that you label them. He is faced with the decision of, what do I put in this big thing right here? What do I label it? I'll label it Amerigo, which is how we get our name America. Europeans, again, are going to call this a new world, but we know that there are people living here. There are people who have very flourishing, complicated, complex societies that will be here. Please, again, when we think about this time period, understand that, again, most all of history is told and written by those people that are doing the conquering. So the Spanish are going to build this giant empire. And one of the things to consider when I just said there's these large, flourishing civilizations, and these men are going to come over 2-3 ships at a time, with each one of those ships having maybe about 150 men, 250 men, depending on each ship. So how do you conquer a giant nation with about 500 men, of which 500 of those men really are probably only about 250 fighting men? It helps that you have stuff that's different. So when the men in these ships reach the shores, there are quite a few things that make them different. The ships themselves would be something that these people had never seen before. What are these things? Now, obviously, they have watercraft of some sort. They hollowed out dugouts or canoes of that nature. But ships of this size, they don't have. When the men step off of these ships, they are covered in armor, right? Remember our our crusaders that went to Jerusalem in their full metal. Well, these now are conquistadors, and they're in metal too. And when you're in metal and you're on a beach and the sun is shining, you're really shiny, godlike. They come off of these boats with animals unseen in this new world, particularly horses. There are no horses in the new world. None. Zero. These people have never seen a horse before. They also have this really long stick that makes fire. Not impressed with the fact that it shoots bullets, because these men, like many of the conflicts in this time period, the natives can get off. Do I have any archery people in here? Archery people? How many arrows can you fire in about a minute and a half? Anybody? Any archery people? I would say you could do a lot, right? That's about how long it takes. The Spanish aren't very good at muskets. The British are really good at their muskets. They can load and aim and get ready for fire in about a minute and a half. The Spanish are up to almost 2.5 minutes. So they're not impressed with the bullets because they could kill you before you fire it. What they're impressed with is the fire that comes out of that stick, right? That's something that they don't understand. So those 3 things are the positive things that these men coming off these ships that fascinate the Aztecs. The last 2 will be something, especially the diseases, will be something that comes just as a side product. These people have absolutely zero immune system to the diseases of Europe, just like these men have zero immune systems to the diseases in this tropical world. They're going to be flattened out by malaria and all other types of diseases, but particularly smallpox, which now many Europeans have a immune system built up to. And smallpox is a disease that is very eradicated from the globe. You guys do not get vaccinated for smallpox. Nobody has smallpox. The smallpox virus is in two places. The CDC and Moscow are the only places that they have it. It is the miraculous, scientific developed vaccine that has eradicated this disease. And it was a horrible, horrible disease that killed millions of people. If you have any relative in your family older, so I'm 57, so probably around 55-ish is when we stopped inoculating people for smallpox. But it's that big scar thing they have on their arm. It's a big, round, ugly-looking scar because you actually got inoculated with the virus. And so you developed a small little, my sister and I called ours a raisin. It's about actually more like the size of a plum. And so you got smallpox, and then it fell off and you are immune. So you guys don't get it. Anyone younger than 55 has not gotten that shot. So take a look next time. I always say grandma, but now you guys tell me like your grandma's 40. So your great grandma, and look at their arm and you'll see that smallpox vaccine. In my head, I write all kinds of stories. I love to read. I always wish that I could write books as good as the books that I read, but my terror plot is that they release the smallpox to the world and only old people are left, and we take back over our world from young people. I don't really want that to happen, but I think it would just be kind of cool. The last one is one that Europeans will use regularly and often in the New World. The Aztecs are the power group of the natives that live in this area, and everyone hates them. Aztecs build the city of New Mexico. They have pyramids, they have all of these other things, and everyone hates the Aztecs. So the Spaniards make friends with the enemies of the Aztecs and say, help us defeat them, we'll reward you. These people don't know yet that they are lying, and so the natives will help the Spanish, and then the Spanish will then turn back on them. So Pizarro is going to conquer the Incas, and in 30 years, 30 short years, all of Latin America is under Spanish control. All of it. One of the ways that history changes over time, especially as historians devote more historical time to studying these civilizations like the Aztecs and the Incas. So when I was in 9th grade, I was taught that the Aztecs were overrun easily because they were just a bunch of fun-loving jungle people that said, hi, Spanish people, bring us all your good stuff. When in all actuality, they were much like we saw the Maya, even more so. The Aztecs would never, if they fought other warriors and they felt that that warrior fought valiantly, they never killed the warrior outright. They sliced open his chest and ripped out his heart. So as a warrior, you now held his mojo, his warrior vibe in your hand. They had entire walls built of skulls, skull walls. I don't think you get any more ferocious and fearsome as a civilization to build a wall of skulls. They use live people to sacrifice, throw them in. And again, always the discussion with when you talk about sacrifice, was it an honor and a privilege to be sacrificed, or did they sacrifice people that they didn't want to die, or that were going to die anyway, or people that lived on the margins? And my argument for that always is, if you're going to honor a god with sacrifice, you would honor the god with an awesome sacrifice. You wouldn't give them a puny warrior. You would give them a great warrior. You wouldn't give them a scrawny old lady. You would give them a beautiful female as this sacrifice if you're trying to please the gods. So all of this stuff is happening. They create a system to administrate this giant territory. And Queen Isabella now has a giant, new, vast amount of subjects under her control. And remember, Queen Isabella is sending these people to convert them to Catholicism. And I know it doesn't seem a thing that sounds Christian or that sounds like something that makes sense, but Queen Isabella wants these people as her subjects because she feels that they are damned to hell by not being Catholic. And by converting to Catholicism, she, as their queen, is saving them from this horrible lake of fire that they are committed to. And she takes that very seriously. It is something that governs her whole entire life. Queen Isabella is probably one of the most devout religious monarchs in all of Europe. She takes it very seriously. She is a warrior queen and takes that as serious. So what now she does is Spain wants to convert into this new world into the only thing they know is what looks like Spain. And so what looks like Spain is a whole bunch of agriculture and a whole bunch of plantations and a whole bunch of agricultural uses for the land. The problem is this is jungle. And even really in modern day 21st century, South America doesn't grow crops like we grow crops. They grow things that grow naturally there, like coffee. But Spain is going to try to change that. And as they are her subjects, she must grant the conquistadors the right to use natives as laborers. And so they begin doing that. They begin using natives as laborers. And it is in the sense of, I hope what you're thinking, they aren't getting paid for it, right? They are going to be used to farm land. The Spanish were supposed to protect them. Very few of them were going to do that. The natives worked hard and they were treated brutally. This is probably where the misconception comes in about these people. They are not agriculturally based civilizations. They are hunters and gatherers. They don't work. They don't have a need to work. They live in a lush jungle that provides everything for them. There are small animals that they can hunt. There are feral pigs. There are all kinds of fowl that they can eat. It's a jungle. It is plentiful of fruits and roots that they can eat. So there is zero need to create any agricultural based society. So when they're forced to do so, they are not equipped to work. They are not equipped to work. And so they are treated brutally and they begin dying by the thousands. By the thousands. The entire population of Haiti is almost completely wiped out. And so, as a part of this group that goes, Jesuit priests will also sail over, and that is their job to convert. Bartholomew de las Casas writes back to Isabella and says, you need to understand, Queen Isabella, how your people are treating your subjects. It is not a Christian way. It is not the way that you would like your subjects to be treated. And so Queen Isabella does what's right and says you can't do that anymore. And this is, again, the instances in history that always are so important to study and figure out. This is one of the reasons, again, we always say we study history so that we don't repeat it. We repeat it over and over and over and over and over again. We just change the tune. But sometimes there is an idea of when you make change, you need to think about all the consequences. And so what happens is while Queen Isabella and this Jesuit priest does a really awesome thing, you can no longer use these men on your farms as slave labor. The next question is, okay, well then where do we get this from? And where do you get this from? Anybody want to tell me what continent we go to get all these slaves from that we're going to bring by the millions and millions and millions? We now go to Africa. And by doing that, we again transform the history of the world. So by this Jesuit priest and this Catholic queen doing what's right for her people, we cause this other ripple effect that will cause damage to millions and millions of people for the next 400 years. That, again, is the byproducts of history. So, any questions about that? Questions? So, in our reading today, the title of it is Two Views of Indians. You are reading two primary sources about two individuals that are writing about the people that they find in this place. And it is important to read very carefully because you need to make sure that you understand they're both in the same place. They're both looking at the same groups of people. But these two men have wildly different views of these same people. All right? So any questions?